We always talk about power, speed, aerodynamics, all of those things, but the question I know you all want to know the answer to is, how do you get quads like that? Well, in this video I'm going to do my very best to find out, and I'm even going to ask Sir Chris Hoyt himself and find out all the secrets. Good job. You stop tensing now. Thanks.
That's hard.
So Chris, can you enlighten our viewers? How do you do it? Your legs can put out some serious power. What do you need to do to achieve that? Do you need to be superhuman?
Well, they used to. I mean, these days it's less than it was 10 years ago, put it that way. But for producing peak power, you've got to train specifically. So doing 2-hour rides, 3-hour rides, 4-hour rides isn't going to give you a high peak power output. But then you've got to ask yourself, well, what do you need a high peak power output for? If it's to win sprints in a road race, then you've got to get to the end of the road race first. So you still need that, huge aerobic capacity, and then just a little bit of the good stuff on the end to finish the job off. But for a sprinter, big sprinters, 90 kilo plus sprinters are going to be kicking out 2,500 watts. I think the most I ever hit was just under 2,600, and I was 92 kilos. So you train specifically, so it's about the foundation of a sprinter's training is weight training, it's strength training. That's the kind of foundation, the pyramid, and then you build on that to get the power and the speed.
So would you say it's 50-50 gym work and track work and riding, or is it? People say, how do you get big legs for sprinting? But really, you train to be a sprinter, and the big legs are a byproduct of the training and the diet. So it's not like you train to get big legs, you train to get stronger and more powerful and go faster on a bike. Because you get some riders, you get the guys like Robert Forstmann with massive legs, but that doesn't always equate to faster lap times. So yeah, you train to be as powerful and as aero as you can, and that makes you fast. But if you want big legs, the best way to do it is to eat lots of protein and to squat heavy in the gym. Nutrition's a massive part of a sprinter's lifestyle, and ensuring that you're getting the right nutrients to recover and to fuel yourself for your training. So the biggest difference between an endurance cyclist and a sprint cyclist would be we have a lot of protein, and a huge amount really. Probably every 2 hours you're having some form of protein, whether it's fish or chicken or meat or whatever, or whey protein and powder, and it's essentially to help repair the damage that you're doing in training, because heavy resistance training does cause this micro tearing in the muscles, and this essentially whey protein or any kind of protein breaks down into the amino acid, the building blocks, and they form to help rebuild the muscles and repair and grow and get bigger and stronger. What would be your favourite gym exercise to do to get those? There's
loads of things you can do in the gym, but if you're only going to choose one exercise to get stronger and to get bigger legs, without doubt the squat is the key exercise. It's the king of exercises, as it's known, and it's got to be with good form, because you see people in the gym with poor form, and it risks all kinds of injuries with your back, with your knees, with your hips. So don't let your ego push you too soon. You're far better getting the right technique and building it really slowly. Start off with just the bar, literally nothing else, even a broomstick to begin with, and get that form right. Get somebody who knows their stuff. If you go to your local gym, there's always somebody who is the guru, and you go over, yeah, and they'll be flattered that you're asking them for tips and for help. Speak to them, video it as well. Just set your phone up, get side-on shots of your form, because what you think you're doing and what you're seeing in the mirror head-on isn't necessarily that helpful. It's not always what you're actually doing. So yeah, good technique, build it up slowly with the weights. It can take years. I've been squatting now since I was 17 or 18. What kind of numbers were you putting out when you were squatting? At my peak in my career, I was doing 240 kilograms. But last year I thought I'm going to have a little go, because all the different types of training can actually take away from your maximum strength. So I wasn't doing any other full-on training. I thought I'm going to see how strong I can get. And I got to within 5 kilos of my all-time best as a fat retired cyclist. 10 years on from retirement, I did 235 at the same body weight, at 92 kilos. So at the end of the day, it's about specificity. Yeah. And really, do you need to squat 235 kilos to be faster at doing sportives or doing crits or doing, strength training you should only be tailoring it for the job that you're looking to do better. So don't get caught up in, doing lots of big bench press and squats and everything. You want to be efficient weight. You don't want to be carrying extra weight you don't need to. But it's always cool having big legs because you can lift heavy things. So.
Yeah, they look good, don't they?
Yeah, well, so they tell me.
What does an average day as a pro sprinter look like from start to finish?
Well, it depends on the time of year. So if it's off season, like when we used to go out to Perth and train out there pre-season, it would be high volume and high intensity. So you would always, the road rides are always low intensity in terms of just warm-ups or warm-downs or active recovery. But you'd ride to the gym, so maybe half an hour ride to the gym. You'd do a 2.5 hour gym session, which would be predominantly high load, low reps, real maximal strength work. You'd ride home from that, you'd grab some food, you would have a break, and then you'd head down to the track just after lunch. You'd ride down the track, could be an hour's ride to the track, 3-hour track session, focusing on one specific component of performance, starts, speed work, speed endurance, that kind of thing, accelerations. And then you'd ride home another hour. So you could be doing, in theory, you could be doing 6 or 7 hours of riding or training in a day. And then you'd have hopefully you'd have a massage booked in at the end of that, because your muscles, it's the difference between sprinting and endurance riding is it's not just that pain while you're riding, it's when you finish, your muscles ache and the DOMS, the delayed onset of muscle soreness from gym training. So you're in this constant state of fatigue. But the whole kind of dilemma is the training is only effective when it's high quality. So there's no point in training at 90%. So you're always trying to train as close to 100% as you can. But if you did that truly, you'd have to wait for 4 or 5 days between each session to really be recovered. So you're constantly treading that fine line between being absolutely exhausted and being fresh enough to get good quality training done.
And what does the lifestyle of a sprinter look like? Because you hear them say like being on your feet compared to like a normal person. Just like little things that maybe some people take for granted.
I guess the biggest thing is people just don't really understand why, or they're surprised that the mantra of don't stand when you can sit and don't sit when you can lie down. So whenever you're not training, it's about recovering optimally for the next session, which could be 3 or 4 hours away. So you don't go wandering about, going shopping, sightseeing. If you're in a training camp, you don't go out and do stuff. You're either on your bike or your feet are off the ground. And Craig McLean, my old teammate, he used to take it to extreme measures, and he had scooters for getting around an airport. He would literally do anything he could rather than be on his feet. Just minimise that time in your legs, because it sounds ridiculous, but it all adds up, and you want to be as fresh as possible. And because the training has to be as close to maximal as possible, you can't be jaded. There's no point in training if you're not fresh, or as fresh as you can be. But yeah, training camps are very different. So I remember our first ever training camp in Melbourne in 1997, and we were there with the women's endurance squad. Riders like Yvonne McGregor, former world medalist, Olympic medalist in the pursuit. And I think they were just bemused at how little training we did. We were doing lots of training, but they wouldn't see us. They'd leave in the morning for their road ride, and we would go out for like an hour, and then we'd come back and do the gym, and then by the time they came back, they'd see us back at the apartment and think, you guys just sit around eating food all day. What do you actually do?
Sprinter life.
Well, exactly. But it's the closest thing I can compare a sprinter to is like a big cat in the Serengeti. They lie around a lot, they rest a lot, but when they attack, when they go for their effort, it's going to be absolutely all or nothing. So you don't do a lot of training in that mid-range that most cyclists do. The kind of sub-maximum training, lots of hours on the bike. It's flat out or it's resting.
So there you have it, an insight from the man himself, Sir Chris Hoy, on how to get those muscly legs. If you did enjoy this video, then make sure to give it a big thumbs up, and let us know down in the comment section below what exercises or workouts do you think helps you get muscly legs.